What's up, guys? Holding Alex with you here, bringing you Black Clover manga review. This is chapter 192, titled Two Bright Red Fists. This chapter was very interesting, especially for me, because I always thought that Fingolian and his sister, I knew they were both the oldest. One was the oldest out of the females, and the other one was the oldest out of the males. But I always thought Fingolian was older than his sister. And it actually turns out, I had to look this up, that it's actually the opposite. Fingolian's sister is actually older than him. She's 32 and he's 30. So they 2 years apart. So that was kind of confusing because I'm always saying Fingolian's younger sister. And no one ever corrected me. So I'm not sure. I thought maybe I was right. And this is just a translation error I was reading in this manga chapter. But when I looked it up on the official site, she is older than him by 2 years. She's 32 and he's 30, so that was a while to me. I always thought he was the oldest. But we also got their backstory here. But before I get into that backstory, I want to get into their fighting scene, because this whole chapter was just straight up brawling. It starts off with Fingolian versus Kaiser, and Fingolian told Kaiser, "I met your wife earlier and she's worried about you and she wanted you back home." And he was like, "I'm going to make sure that happens." So he starts using Salamander's breath to try to not melt him completely, but bring down his stamina with the breath. But his magic originally as a human was this weird vacuum magic where he can absorb magic and cancel it. But now that he's infused with the elf magic, it had reached spiritual level. So he can also affect now spiritual beasts like the Salamander. And he was just negating everything that Fingolian was basically throwing at him. But at the same time, also shooting it back. So Fingolian was actually taking the damage that Kaiser should have received. And when that's going on, we got Reto versus, I always pronounce her name wrong, Fingolian's sister, Maro Leonia? Maro Lagonia, if I'm pronouncing it right. Or Leonia. But, I'm just going to say Maro. But they basically fighting, and it's funny because when they fighting, he's complimenting her, saying, "I never fought a human as strong as you," and she's also thinking to herself, "I never fought someone as strong as you." And then he brings up this weird comment saying, "If you're the strongest human here, after I take you out, taking out the rest is going to be easy picking." And then she starts thinking about her brother. And that's when we get the flashback and we find out that she's actually older than him. And we also find out in the flashback that where Fingolian was being trained by his teachers and predecessors to be the next, one of the next captains in line or household members, his sister wasn't actually being trained. Because she was a genius and she was so strong, they would actually let her go off on her own and she would do her own thing. And Fingolian was actually kind of jealous of that she wasn't being picked on as much as, not picked on, but she wasn't being as forced to do as many things as he was. The studying, the training, more studying. He had to be basically taught how to properly speak and teach himself about other royalties. So that's why when we compare Fingolian to his sister, it's she has that more spicy, sassy, personality. Because she was technically raised by herself. Even though she's royalty, they basically never taught her anything. She technically taught herself. She knows manners and stuff, and she knows about the history of the family, but outside of those common things, like battling and her skills and all that, that was her own doing, because she's naturally a born fighting genius. And as they get older, Fingolian challenged her to a battle in this flashback, and they call this battle the Bloody Hot Tuesday. And we saw the whole house of Vermilion, because that's their household. We saw the whole area engulfed in flames, and they just going at it, knuckling, boxing each other, and it was hilarious. And we see people running away with looking back. And then after we get the flashback is done, we see Fingolian decides to do this weird movement where he flash steps in front of Kaiser, and you see him cock back. But in the other panels you see in the thumbnail, his sister's actually doing the same movement at the same time. And they both thinking about beating each other, even though they're already fighting someone else in front of them. And they actually end up punching Kaiser and Reto in the face. and that was basically like towards the end of the chapter. But this was a really good chapter. Straight up fighting, straight up brawl. I love this chapter. I love these chapters like this. And I especially love how Black Clover can give you a full fighting chapter, 20 pages, 15 pages, but there will still be good dialogue in there for story progression. Like the backstory part, or in the beginning when it opens up with Frangolian talking about Kaiser's wife. Now she misses him and stuff. So that's going to be very interesting to see. I have a feeling though next week we probably won't get the conclusion of this fight. I'm not sure if these two guys are down, Kaiser and Reto. But I think next week we should be seeing Asta and Noelle's fight. Cause I know Asta's with a manga, and they have to fight the guy with the paint magic. And Noelle has to fight Fana. So it's 2 versus 1, and then the other one is 1 versus 1. So most likely we get those 2 battles together next week, since this week we had these 2. So that's just my thought and opinion on it. But again, this was a great chapter of Black Clover. Learned a lot, especially not just of their, their relationship with each other and how they feel towards each other and stuff, the brother and sister, but also to find out that she's actually older, because I always was under the impression that he was older. So that was a shock to me. I'm not sure about y'all, let me know down below, but that was a shock to me. But yeah, this was a great chapter, guys. If you haven't read it, I advise you to go read it. If you already read it, go read it again. Really great chapter. Great stuff. Can't wait for next week. Can't wait to see Asta and Momonza, see how they're going to tag team against this OP plant guy. And see how Noelle's going to fare against Fana. Like I said last week in my other review, I don't think Noelle is ready to fight Fana. Even if she has like her magic and in good condition and stuff and fully recovered, I don't think at her best she can beat Fana at all. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to doubt her, but I don't believe at all she can beat Fana. I think Fana is just too strong for her. I mean, let's be honest. Fana is technically stronger than Reto, if you think about it. And if Frangolian and his sister are having problems versus Reto and that old guy Kaiser, and those two are technically almost evenly matched, and Fana is stronger than Reto, then by default, then Noelle technically shouldn't be able to beat Fana in a 1 versus 1 battle. Even though she's fire and she's water, so she does have that element type, and that can make a big difference. But I don't know. I just don't have that. I just don't see that happening for some reason. I could be wrong though again, but tell me down below what you think of this chapter and what you're expecting for next week. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Have a good one, guys, and peace out.